Hello folks, I actually got the soundtrack on Saturday and I am going to review Bohemian Rhapsody, the official motion picture soundtrack, today on this episode of Freddie Fridays.
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy?
Hello and welcome to Freddie Fridays. I am reviewing the motion picture soundtrack of Bohemian Rhapsody, which came in the mail on Saturday. Now, I did an unboxing of the motion picture soundtrack, and if you want to watch that, go ahead and check it out. The link to the video is down below in the description box. And I want to point out that this is the exclusive store version, which you can get at the Queen Online store. And the soundtrack is available now in most stores. But this is the only way to get a slipcover and an exclusive poster as well. So if you want to get those particular items, you definitely have to order this through the Queen Online store to get it. Now, on with the review. Bohemian Rhapsody, the official motion picture soundtrack, has a total of 22 songs. It's a mixture of studio tracks, live performances, and some new additional tracks made for the motion picture. The first track is called 20th Century Fox Fanfare, which Queen performs the 20th Century Fox theme, and it's a great start to a great motion picture soundtrack. Now, even though Somebody to Love is the second track, which is a studio album track, the third track, Doing Alright Revisited, is a mixture of a re-recording, some parts of the original Smile song, Doing Alright, and part of the Queen version of Doing Alright from the Queen album. Now, even though tracks 4 and 5 have been released on different albums, track 6, Fat Bottom Girls Live in Paris, is the first time that the Live in Paris version of Fat Bottom Girls has ever been released on any format. Track 7, of course, is the title of the movie, Bohemian Rhapsody, and it is the studio album version. Tracks 8 and 9 have been released before. Track 8 was originally released on the 2011 edition of Sheer Heart Attack, and it was available on a 2-disc edition. Track 9, of course, is Crazy Little Thing Called Love, which is the album version. Track 10, Love of My Life, which is a different live performance, has never been released on any sort of format. This is the first time the Rock in Rio edition of Love of My Life has gotten a CD or any sort of format release. Track 11 is We Will Rock You, the movie mix, which is a mixture of the studio album version and a live performance. At this time, I do not know what the live performance is. Hopefully in the near future, if I ever do a revised edition, I will find out more which live performance that was from, that was included in the movie mix of We Will Rock You. Track 12, of course, is Another One Bites the Dust, which is the studio album version. And from 1 to 12, the album has been awesome. And I've liked every single track that was included from 1 to 12. However, when it comes to track 13, this is the soundtrack's biggest flaw. The track I Want to Break Free should have been listed as a previously unreleased track because this is a different version from all other past versions that have come out before it. And I'm going to explain the different versions of I Want to Break Free. Now, usually when it comes to single releases, the single version is usually shorter than the album version. Not the case with I Want to Break Free. I Want to Break Free's single version is actually 1 minute longer than the album version. And when I checked the actual runtime for what was going to be on the soundtrack, the total runtime read 3 minutes and 43 seconds on Amazon.com's website, and it was listed as the single remix. But there's one problem. The single remix is actually longer than that. And as it turns out, they just combined the single remix with the album version. It is the single remix for the most part, with the album version in between, just to make the song shorter. And that's all that they did. And that is the biggest problem that I had with the soundtrack.
But life still goes on.
They could have included either the entire single remix or even the album version if they wanted a shorter I Want to Break Free song. They could have included the album version instead, and it would have made the total runtime of the soundtrack a little shorter. So as a result, this is the only track that I did not care for as much. Now, if you want to get the single remix and the album version of I Want to Break Free, it is available on the 2-disc 2011 edition of the works. It is not available on the 1-disc edition. So if you want both the single remix and the album version, buy the 2-disc edition of the 2011 release of the works. And there's also another way to get the single remix and the album version, which I will talk about in a later video. Thankfully, after track 13, the rest of the soundtrack is fine. Tracks 14 and 15 are studio album versions of Under Pressure and Who Wants to Live Forever. Tracks 16 through 20 are Live Aid concert performances. The only concert performances of Live Aid that weren't included from Queen were Crazy Little Thing Called Love and We Will Rock You. Track 21 is a different remix of Don't Stop Me Now. The title track is called Don't Stop Me Now Revisited, and it's an awesome remix of the song. And track 22 is of course the album version of The Show Must Go On, and that completes the entire listing of the soundtrack. And it is available now on CD, and it's going to be coming out on audio cassette on November 16th. Right now there is no release date for the vinyl version, but expect that to come out next year. As for the booklet, it is mostly awesome. There's quite a bit of pictures from the movie, and there's a couple of pictures of the band Queen, along with a picture of the music video Bohemian Rhapsody. However, there is one issue with the booklet, and that's with the copyright years to every single song. They're either listed as 2011 or as 2018. And the biggest problem is with them being listed as 2011, since they decided to put it based off the 2011 remasters, rather than putting them in their respective years that they originally came out. For example, Who Wants to Live Forever, originally released in 1986. That was listed for 2011, based off the 2011 remasters. And that's not how it should be. It should be based off their respective years, and not solely off of a remaster that they did in 2011. That's my only complaint with the booklet. Besides that, I have no other problems. So overall, what did I think about the Bohemian Rhapsody soundtrack? Well, besides the track I Want to Break Free, the rest of the soundtrack is great. And I didn't really have a hard time with this particular soundtrack. I enjoyed pretty much almost all the tracks that were included, except for I Want to Break Free, which was actually being a different sort of mix than you would see on a particular Queen compilation, or even the album The Works, for example. I was quite disappointed that the track was different from every other version that has been released of the actual song. So as a result, that's the only track that I can't really recommend. Besides that, I can recommend every single song. And there were a couple other instances where I feel that this could have been a lot better. But the thing is, I still recommend this for hardcore Queen fans and casual Queen fans, and even people that wanted to go see the movie. I definitely recommend this. And if I had to grade a card for this particular release, I'd give it a green card. But I do want to point out that audiophiles, I did notice that there was compression on this particular release. So if you do not like compression, you may want to wait to either get the cassette or the vinyl release. So that way you will be satisfied. Because I will say this, even though there's compression on this particular release, that don't mean that the soundtrack is bad at all. It just means that it might not be your cup of tea. And you may want to prefer the vinyl release or even the cassette release. So, like I said, if you are an audiophile, you may want to wait and get the cassette or the vinyl release. So that way you might be satisfied with one of those releases. And if you don't want to get the CD release due to the compression, I don't blame you. But that's all I really got to say about Bohemian Rhapsody in a nutshell. And I'd like to thank you very much for watching Freddy Fridays. And I will catch you next time for another Freddy Fridays video. Peace out, everybody. And thanks for watching. And support the channel by subscribing. And if you want to know more uploads that I do, and you want to actually have a heads up on the next upload that I do, click on the bell on my channel. So that way you will get notifications on which new videos that I upload. Thank you very much, everybody, and peace out.